All right, people, what's going on? This is Blaise over here at the Blue Chip Athletic Club podcast, and I'm so stoked to have my boy Matt DiRico on today. I'm going to have him talk a bunch about himself, things that he's doing in his business, ways that he's helping other people. But before then, I just want to give a quick shout out. I am currently working on a project that is a golfers mobility program. If you send us a message, we'll send you a warm up and cool down mobility program you can do from pretty much anywhere. It's going to help you loosen up your upper back, loosen up your T spine, as in your lower back, as well as your upper back, help your shoulders come around. It's going to help you be a more effective swinger, outdrive your buddies, and not wake up in pain the next day. And always shout out to my guys over at First Form. I appreciate you guys. If you guys are looking for any of their supplements or anything, let us know. We'll send you guys. The meat sticks are some of my favorites, and they've got plenty of other things. But without further ado, let's get into this. Matt, what is happening, dude?
Pumped to be here, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, dude, I'm stoked to chat with you. So give the people a little bit of background, who you are, where you come from, and we can get this thing going.
For sure, man. So yeah, my name is Matt DiRico. I was born and raised South Shore, Mass, in Boston now, and I'm an online fitness coach. And I've been doing it for about probably 2.5 years now. So it's been going great. For me, kind of got into it through, as I'm sure a lot of you guys, the fitness coaches, can relate to, like my own personal fitness journey. And I essentially help people improve their body composition, lose fat, build muscle, build better habits so that they can be more confident and really translate that to other aspects of their life, kind of the way that I did for myself. I think it's cool to help people do what you've done in the past. So, yeah.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Matt was just telling me right before we started the call that he's back. He moved to Southie. He's a South Boston boy now. And yeah, it's been pretty cool. I met Matt a year ago ish at a retreat, a business retreat in Vegas. And we kind of hodgepodge ended up being roommates the whole time that we were there, sleeping in the same room and what we'll call the frat house of all the people kind of staying together. But dude, it was awesome to meet you, and I'm excited to hear a little bit more. So you talked a lot about your kind of own fitness journey. I want to hear a little bit more about that. Like, what got you into it? What got you in the gym in the first place? Why kind of the calling to help other people along the way?
Definitely, man. So for me, it's funny because I was never really remotely fit growing up. We even talked about this. Like I played sports. I was, lax bro and did all that. But I never had the nutrition down. I was kind of a chubbier kid growing up. And as I got to, I think it was my senior year of high school, I was like, hey, I really want to make this varsity team. Like, I really want to change the way I look and just make some sort of a change. And that's kind of what got me in the gym. I probably spent a good 6 months just binge watching fitness YouTube, hitting the gym every day. I learned what a calorie deficit was, which is definitely a huge plus. But ended up, seeing good results. I ended up making the varsity team, and that was kind of my first like positive reinforcement of like, hey, these changes I've been making are actually working. And it only grew from there. Once I got into college, I stuck with it. The more in shape I got, the more confident I got. And it kind of got to a point like, I think it was my senior year of college. I was just kind of the dude on campus who was just like, yeah, go to Matt if you want a fitness program, like kind of like the authority in the field who's helping people out. And it's crazy, like from where I started to kind of get in there, I was like, wow, this is awesome. But the more I got into posting social media and helping people out, the more I enjoyed doing it. Like I genuinely loved seeing people win and seeing people do what I did. So it's a super cool journey so far.
Yeah, dude, I want to hear more about like that meant. I feel like you kind of hit on it twice now, is like the confidence boost and the confidence piece of all this thing. And like, I want you to kind of lean in and tell me a little bit more about like what that's done for other aspects of your life or clients' lives that you've kind of been working with. Cause I know from personal experience and other people too, how important that really can be.
Definitely, man. So I guess just giving a little context, like I feel like growing up, I was always like a very shy, like self-conscious dude. Like I would like during school, I'd always, go into the bathroom and like check myself in the mirror to make sure my hair was all right. And I'd be like
It looks great, by
sucking
the
in
way,
my
now, dude.
stomach
It
and
looks great.
appreciate it, man. Yeah, I've been growing it out. But yeah, even just like sucking in my stomach, like didn't like I was always wondering so much how people thought I looked. In reality, they are too busy caring about themselves. But um, essentially, with the confidence piece, just the person I was when I was not fit versus where I am now, just is night and day in terms of how it's affected my life. I think that's what got me into entrepreneurship. I was kind of just in school. I was a finance major, uh, didn't know what I was doing, switched to marketing last minute, and graduated and really just got into fitness, helping people, decided to pursue it, start a business, was, coaching people on the side and getting into more of, the client side of things. I have seen it so many times, I'll have a guy come in who is not in the best shape, doesn't have the most amount of confidence, and then get in really good shape, start hitting PRs. They're more excited on calls when I'm talking to them. They're just winning more. I've had some guys, get really good jobs, and they just, especially the guys who've been with me for a long time, they're just their life's elevating proportionally with their fitness, and it's just super cool to see that. So I think that's kind of what it's all about. Yeah, looking great's cool, but it's what you can use that and the confidence with that. In my opinion, that's like the best part.
Yeah, that's the gold nugget, right? Like, it's funny, like everybody is getting older, uglier, and wrinklier every day. And you can never outrun father time or mother time, I guess, if you want to call it that, but I call it father time because it's OG. But always gonna come and nab you, right? Like you can't really get away from that. So just being aware of those things and then finding a way to have that fitness kind of translate over into your other parts of health, I think is so important. Um, so when you hear of somebody that's like, oh yeah, they went out and they got a new job and they're elevating themselves, they're maybe they're reading or they got a promotion or they asked for something that they deserved or they were just able to stick to something. I think there's a lot to be said of somebody who signs up for a program, and I'm sure you do this with people. It's like you're not only you're having somebody make like a verbal contract, but you're holding them to that. And then when you just do the things that you say you're going to do, your confidence just goes through the roof, right? Like it's such a direct proportion. Um, I want to hear a little bit
Definitely.
about you, like you being able to separate the two. So like, I'll say this term, and this is a business coach of mine uses this term. He says, don't let your fitness steal from your fitness. And I'm curious, like, do you ever have this like thing where it's the business I feel like is never something I can truly get out of my mind. Like it's kind of like it's always there and it's like right here and it's like no matter where you go, like there it is. And I'm curious, like if you ever get that way too from an entrepreneurial like position or from like I don't even want to call it obsessive. It's just like it's always there and it's like you're pushing this thing along so that you can be and make it the best that you can because obviously it's what you want so you can help the most people.
Definitely, man. So in terms of just like fitness and business per se,
Totally. Yeah, yeah. Hit on both of them for me.
yeah. So I think honestly, I'm super pumped that fitness is the field I'm in because I think it kind of goes hand in hand. Like you said, it is very easy to always be thinking about the business, always thinking about the things you got to do, the next steps. But I really like the gym as a way to like take an hour out of your day and really tune that out and just focus on, getting a win somewhere else, really kind of clean your head. And it's nice how that, you know, going to the gym actually impacts the business because, if I'm in better shape, it's easier to be a fitness coach. So, um, in a way, but I think it's good it's important to have, clear goals with both of them, but also be able to separate yourself when you need to be because it is very easy to be always, thinking about business and up late, stressing and everything like that. But it's definitely healthy to really have your fitness regimen, whatever it is. There's a lot of different things you can do. You can go for a walk, but if you have that time where you can, tune things out, listen to a podcast, whatever it is, whatever your thing is. Um, that's super important because without that, it's easy to kind of let the business consume you. So
Yeah. Are you what is your like method of like we'll call it rest and recovery or rest and digest other than like going to the gym for yourself? Like what are some things that you do?
yeah, so I mean, fitness wise, I have been going on a lot of walks recently, listening to, you know, YouTube videos or audiobooks and things like that. Besides that, I've been trying to get more on the reading grind. I know you've been pretty big on that, but I think Zach was helpful with that. The all the reading he had us do. So I've been definitely doing that. And then besides that, I definitely still like learning more about fitness. Like I enjoy watching like fitness YouTube and watching, even just podcasts and things like that of whether it's entrepreneurial or fitness related. I think it's always cool to just be learning and improving on things that you're passionate about. So that's kind of what I've been doing recently. Just the gym, going for walks, reading, watching some stuff that I can learn from, and then weekends. I'm in Southie now. Got a good group of guys, so we'll blow off some steam from time to time, but making it work so far.
Yeah, nothing like going out and tearing it up in Southie, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I can agree more. I don't know what it is, but I feel like now my time is just so like scripted and regimented that I'm like doing something that's like my time off that I think somebody else would view as like working. Um, if that makes sense. So like reading, like
Yeah.
I'm reading David Goggins' book right now, Can't Hurt Me, for the second time, which if you haven't read it yet, it's phenomenal. And if you've read it once, I definitely suggest reading it again. You can pull out a bunch of interesting stuff in there. But just listening, or I guess reading what that guy has written and done in his life and the things that he's gone through, like it's so cool because you can just take somebody's entire life and download that information and use and apply that to your own life. So yeah, I'm a big reader myself. What are you reading right now? What's something that you're into?
So I actually just finished a book called like The Next Five Moves. I don't know if you read that one. Um,
No, no, but I love a suggestion.
yeah, it's what's his name? Patrick Bet David. Pretty fit. I believe that's his name. But Next Five Moves, great book. Really just kind of on the subject of, especially with business, like, all right, it's easy to get, cluttered and confused, but it's good to figure out like what are the next five moves in your business, in your life, that are gonna drive you forward to the long term goal that you have. So that's a good one. I really like the Slight Edge. I'm pretty sure you've definitely read that one.
Yeah, it's a
That
good one too.
Yeah, I was a huge fan of that book as well. Even just like the idea of the daily, consistent, imperfect actions, doing that consistently versus being so outcome oriented. I think that was probably a problem of mine for a while. It was always like, I want to achieve these things, but it's good to be like, all right, that's good. What are the daily habits I should be doing every day to get me there? So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, for sure.
yeah,
I,
those are my
I
two favorites.
Dude, I would love to hear a little bit. I know that I don't know how recently it's been. I feel like it was a bit ago actually now that you left because you were doing fitness kind of on the side. And then you had left your job and now you're kind of doing it full time. So I would love to hear a bit about like, because I'm not doing that right now. I'm still flying planes in the Coast Guard, uh, which, I'm obligated contractually to do that until the year 2030. And I enjoy doing that for sure. It's definitely something fun. But this is definitely a passion of mine. And I think that I realize that too. And who knows what's going to happen in the year 2030, whether I continue a career or not. But I'm curious for you, like you had this big plan or this big goal of like, hey, this is now my passion and this is what I want to do. How do you pull chalks, man? How do you get out of like a business or a finance job or like this other thing to be like, I'm just gonna bet on myself and make this happen? Like how did you make that work?
Yeah, honestly, it feels pretty surreal to, 'cause this is my goal for a while, but essentially just to give a little bit of backstory, I graduated college 2022. Started work literally like 2 or 3 weeks later, so jumped right into it. And all of pretty much until the end of December of last year was just working full time, doing this on the side. And, I had a pretty cool job, like nothing against that. It was just more of a time commitment problem I was running into where, especially like for a while, I was commuting to work. I'd work all day, sometimes you'd work late. I'd commute back. I'd take calls from, 6 to 8 or 6 to 9. I try to get a 30-minute workout in, and then at that point I'm toast and I'm in bed. So it was just like being on the grind for so long, trying to make it work. And it was helpful using weekends back then. I was fortunate, like I was living in a studio for a couple months. Didn't really have distractions. Ended up moving. Had 2 roommates, but it wasn't a lot going on. So I was kind of just putting in the work, trying to make it work. And it really wasn't until the retreat where it hit me like, hey, I probably should make this jump. I had a lot of responsibilities at my job, especially because I'd been there for a while. They were kind of giving me more stuff. I was getting bigger clients and things like that. And I remember I was just stressing out so much because I had so much going on at work. And then I get home and that month I hit a record high of clients. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And pretty much I talked to Zach and I'm like, hey, this is where I'm at. You know, what should I do? And he's like, quit your job and join Takeover. And that's exactly what I did. And it feels awesome, dude. I think, yeah, it's now that I'm out, it's definitely the big thing of like being accountable. No one's, you don't got to wake up super early the way that I used to, but, having that discipline, having those like non-negotiables and like the daily actions that I need to be doing and really kind of just being consistent with it is the way for me. But it was definitely crazy to see how I've gotten here, and I do think it was cool, like the process, the journey. It was a grind, but it's like, yeah, I got through that. Like it's just a cool thing to experience. But glad that it worked out.
Yeah, and that's I think something that I kind of wanted to highlight, and I figured you would end up talking about it, but like you put in like a lot of time into this thing, into like being like I can do this and getting like the proof of concept and building your I don't want to say building your confidence up, but almost building your faith up in yourself that you could do it. And your coach had to be like, hey bro, fucking rip the band-aid off, let's do this thing, and like let's make this a reality. And you trusted them to do that. So I know I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but I'm curious, like your let's say like value in coaching, like are you somebody that likes to be coached and likes to be pushed that way? And how has that kind of affected you outside of the business? Because that was just kind of one instance of it kind of along the way.
Definitely, man. I do think there's a lot of value in having a coach in really anything. And part of that is really just someone else that actually believes in you, because entrepreneurship is one of those things like it's hard for people to really have confidence in you other than yourself. So like I knew, hey, this is what I want to do. I've gotten results. As Hormozy would say, I had the stack of undeniable proof or whatever. But besides like my parents, my brothers, like no one really, I don't know, I just didn't have like a ton of support, I would say. And
Dude, it's you can say it, dude. It's
yeah,
fucking lonely, bro. It's
yeah,
lonely, dude.
dude,
It
it's
is a
so
lonely
man.
path. Like, and I'll even say, like, full honesty is like, I did not realize how many of my like what I'll call friends would not be supportive of me doing this myself. And
Yeah,
that was something that was really, really tough. You sit there and you look in the mirror and you're like, I'm doing this for me, something that I love to do. And that doesn't make me any different a person. But the fact now that I sometimes have to go into a gym, like my work gym, for example, and have a tripod in there so I can record some of my sessions so that I can like help somebody else become healthier. and the looks that I end up getting from people that, you know, were my friends and like now kind of don't really know how to interact. And I'll say too, it kind of went through that. I've kind of like, I'll call on the other side of it. And I think that you probably are too, where like initially people are juiced up. They're like, yeah, bro, you're going to be a business owner. And then like the lull of like, I don't even want to say it's like 3 months to like, I don't know, for a while, I feel like the support just like does one of these numbers. And then there's like 5 people that I could count that were like liking your shit, or they're like there for you, or they're pumping you up, or they're saying like good job. And then you get a couple of clients trickle in, and then you have to build your what you call your undeniable proof, or Mosey calls it that, to be like, hey, this is what I am. And then oddly enough, people start coming back, and then they start asking you for advice and questions because they see the stuff that you're doing. But when you know when you were starting the journey, or even a couple months into it or whatever, I didn't feel like I had that support. I'm curious if you felt like yours fell off too along the way.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think for me, for the longest time, people, like you said, like when you first start something, it's like, yo, that's cool, man. Like, cool to see that. But then I stuck with it, and people kind of just look at me like funny, like, oh, like you're doing fitness, like, shouldn't you have an internship, like a job, like what are we doing? So like that just, wasn't intentional, but just people didn't really understand, and didn't really have the support. But like you said, now it's kind of like the upward spiral where people are finally realizing like, hey, DiRico really like did it. Like he's doing it. Like I'm here to support and here for the ride. So I think now it's a lot, cooler to be in that spot where before, people just probably didn't really think that, since it's a different path, like they're like not really sure about it, like, it's a risky thing to do. Like, hey, shouldn't you just stick with the stable job? Like that sort of thing. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, I hear that for sure.
No, you know, when you were having those discussions with Zach about leaving the job, did he ever ask you like, what's the worst thing that happens is you go back and you work for corporate America? Did he like say that? Like, I feel like I would have said that if I were coaching somebody, but I'm curious if he ever
Yeah,
said that to you.
dude, I'm almost positive he did. He definitely did bring up like, hey, yeah, like you said, like what's the worst that can happen? Like, even if I go back to the same job, like, all right, well, you tried and you have enough like results and confidence that you'd probably pull it off. Like, why not do it? But
Yeah.
yeah, he definitely did. So
Yeah, the ride of support has been something super, and I don't think that I understood it when I first opened up Pandora's box of online coaching or coaching in general. I didn't think I truly understood. But I definitely am starting to understand more and more. But what I will say is I am thankful for people like you, people like Zach, people like guys in my mastermind group, people in PTBI, where you kind of get in that like-minded circle, and those people that like energize you, and they're not cutting your knees off saying that you can't do stuff. They're like, bro, you got that. Like, go do that. Go build that program. Go sign that client. You're worth more money because you're a good coach. People like making sure that you're, I don't want to say validated, but like they're there with you to help build you up. And it doesn't feel like it's as much as breaking you down.
definitely, man. Yeah, I think I've loved the support in PTBI, and even just going to the retreats, the masterminds, dude. Like one of the best parts is just being around that positive energy, because everyone's kind of doing the same thing. Some people are further ahead, some are just getting started, but it's like, hey, we're all gonna crush it. Like, do you have any methods that work well for you? And I'll share what's worked well for me, and I hope to see all you guys at the top. And I'm like, I love that. That's why I'm going back again. So
Yeah. I want to hear like, not that I feel like you or I are probably in a position to give people advice when it comes to running a business, but if you were to give somebody advice that's thinking about like delving into that, what would you say to them?
yeah, that's a good question. I think one is really just having like clear intentions of what are you looking to do? Like, who are you looking to help? Is the big thing. Like, what you're looking to do and who you're looking to help, how you're going to do that. Once you kind of have the business model down, then it's really just, as I mentioned before, figuring out what are the daily things, the weekly things that I need to be doing to get me there, and keeping track of them. I think really things started picking up when I started using the Excel sheets and things that Zach had, like really keeping track of everything. Are you doing your tasks? Are you keeping track of your numbers, your leads? Like having that visual proof so that you can look and say, hey, I hit a plateau and be like, oh, it's the lead gen, that's the problem, or having that indicator. So I think, as to recap, just like, hey, figuring out who you're looking to help, you know, a good way to do that, make sure that you're capable of doing that, and then having those daily actions and keeping track of the things you need to keep track of to hold yourself accountable. I think those are really the biggest things that have helped me.
Yeah, dude, I love it. I think those are all really, really good pieces. I kind of want to pivot a little bit. You're a fitness coach, man, so we got to start asking some health questions and some things like that nature. Um, let's say, I'm hopping on a call with you because I'm somebody who wants to get healthy. And I start talking to you, maybe I'm 50 pounds overweight, and I start talking to you about like, hey, should I be cold plunging, and should I be, getting 10,000 steps a day, and should I be doing this, this, and this? I'm curious, like how you take in somebody's situation and then help provide them with a plan that's going to be helpful for them along the way.
Yeah, so that's a good thing for sure. I think the first step is really just asking like the probing questions, getting a good sense of like, all right, what are you looking to do? What have you been doing? What's worked? What has not been working? Once I have a good sense, what I will recommend might vary. So, for example, like if someone has been going to the gym for a couple of years, they have experience, but they hit a plateau. A lot of times, it's just helping them figure out a better way to do their programming, make sure they're, you know, using progressive overload, taking enough rest days, scheduling their week in a way that they can actually hit their workouts. You know, a lot of guys, they'll do 3 days a week, but if they're consistent with those 3 days a week in progressive overload, they're going to get the results. Where there's other guys who try to lift every single day and they're not consistent with it. So it's all about finding that balance of like, what can you actually be consistent with? Everyone's got busy schedules and things like that. So I think that's really the first thing, what's realistic. And for me too, it's kind of just an order of importance. Body composition is a lot of what I do for people. So figuring out, all right, based on where you're at in your goals, let's set a calorie goal. Let's set a protein goal. Some people I set macro goals depending on how advanced they are. And then once I kind of have those, the starting metrics of like, hey, these are what you should be hitting, putting the gym routine in place. And from there, those are kind of the two main things, like nutrition, the training. And then after that is the habits. So, 10K steps, um, accountability things, taking progress pictures, whatever it is for their situation. But for me, what really works well is just understanding someone's position and giving them kind of an order of importance of like, hey, in order to achieve your goal, these are the things you should focus on the most. These are next after that. And then after that, these are the things, the habits that can help with the process to make it easier for them. So um, if that answered your question.
Yeah, no, it totally does. And to summarize, hopefully I can hit this right. Like you kind of just build in, like you meet somebody where they're at, you build in that layer of consistency, and then you like kind of like hyper focus, almost like a magnifying glass on a leaf when you're a kid, like, hey,
Yeah.
this is where you want to be. If you want to focus on this, I've seen, and myself even before, just like if I'm looking at the mountain and I'm like standing at the bottom, it's like, geez Louise, like how am I ever going to run a marathon? How am I ever going to, I don't know, join the 1,000-pound club or have 12% body fat, whatever the goal becomes, right? if you're so focused on that outcome, it will just like degrade and demoralize you, I feel like, over time. But if you can do what you're saying and you can break that down into like, hey, if you want to do this, let's train 3 times a week. Can you change? Can you do that? Can you not do that? And then you can be like, how long, how little, what do you know about nutrition? I feel like that piece of it too, from my discussions with people, has also been like something that is really, really, really low hanging fruit. Like with the smallest bit of education, or taking like 5 or 10 minutes to listen to a video or a podcast that kind of breaks it down, can make a world of difference in somebody's life. And that's all like stuff that's out there for free. So a random and shameless plug, if any of you guys want any of that information, we've got a ton of it, and I'm sure Matt does too, and I'm sure both of us, or I know I will, and I'm sure Matt will, because I know the type of guy he is. Send it to you absolutely free, no questions asked, because we want to help you guys out.
Definitely, man.
Yeah. Cool. Tell me a little bit about like your plans and goals now. Like, what are you trying to do in your health journey, in your business journey? Like, where do you want to take this thing where I see you just coaching the hell out of people and making them better? Like, what's the vision?
Yeah, the vision, I mean, short term, really just trying to help more people, help as many people as possible, get more people on the roster and keep them for a longer period of time to really help them get a lot of results out of it, really have a transformation. That's kind of what I like doing. And now I'm kind of looking to do that more at scale. How can I help more people and be as time efficient as possible? So that's why I'm kind of working more on like putting the systems in place and, running ads and putting everything together so I can handle more clients and ultimately transform more people's lives. So that's kind of my short term. Long term, ideally, once I'm at a certain point, starting making some hires. I think growing the business, having a VA and assistant coach, whatever the relevant hires are, that would be super cool. I can definitely see that happening even in the next couple of months. But it's just exciting stuff. Like, we've gotten this far, want to help more people, and if that's what it takes to get to the next level and help even more people, then I'd be super pumped to do that. But yeah, business wise, that's kind of my next goals in terms of like personal fitness and health. Really trying to I've been focusing a lot more on just health. Yeah, looking good's great, but how can I just be more healthy and trying to get more into longevity, mobility, and my thing has always been the heavy lifting, being strong. But as you probably are getting into too, it's like we want to be able to do this for a long time.
You call me old, bro? Is that what you're doing right now?
Nah, dude. I saw you doing Brett's thing. I know you're getting on the. I don't know. I just think it's cool to like focus on other things other than body composition, and that's part of it too. Is like I want to improve my knowledge of fitness by applying things on myself, because then I can actually use that to help clients with it. So.
Yeah, man, I couldn't agree more. Like, part of me kind of wants to just like pinball between all the people that I know and resonate with in all their fitness plans, and just be like, I'll be a client with you for a year or for 6 months or whatever. And let me just see if I can be a sponge and just learn as much as I can from you and be coached and be helped, and just kind of like that different perspective, I think, is super cool. So it's awesome that you're kind of taking that different approach. And, I like to call that deep health, probably because of my precision nutrition background and certifications and stuff. They kind of refer to it to that. It's like your social health, your existential health, your physical health is a piece, but it's not the whole pie, and they've got basically this whole pie model that brings together all these other things. And like, it'd be sick, if you're shredded, sure, that's cool. But like, if you treat your significant other like shit, if you're unhappy in your job, if you don't feel like you have a purpose like in life, like all that, it doesn't matter, like it doesn't matter how shredded you are. It doesn't matter if you can't put food on the table, if you can't like do these other things. Like, there's a lot of other pieces of the pie that kind of come into that. And I think it would be a shame to only focus on that one thing. And like we said before, like let your fitness kind of steal your fitness. So it's awesome to hear that you're kind of taking that whole health approach and deep health approach too.
Absolutely, man. I feel like the more I do this, the more I learn about, hey, there's a lot more about health and fitness than I thought, and it's cool to always be learning and improving. So for sure.
Yeah, cool, man. All right, so you're somebody listening to this. You're somebody who's been sitting and they've been like, oh, I don't know, maybe I want to like start training. Maybe I want to start to kind of make a life shift so that I can look, move, feel my best, so that I can get job promotion, so that I can change my position. What's your piece of advice for them? The Matt of circa, we'll call, I don't know, 10 years ago, or the Blaise of circa the same. Like, how do you, what's this one piece of advice that you could leave somebody with that's super tangible for them to walk away from?
Definitely, man. I think the first thing is just setting some goals. For me, I've seen the most growth with fitness when I'm setting goals for myself, because then when you're like, hey, this is actually what I'm going for. It's just being realistic and, like I said, try to get in the gym twice a week, 3 times a week. Set a step target. Do some small change. Start building some habits, and really just try and compound on those. A lot of problems I see is everyone starts to go all out. Like, I want to get in shape, and they start going to the gym 6 times a week and eating super clean foods, where it's like, that's not going to last, man. Like, you need to build the long-term habits. So, piece of advice is really start small, set goals, keep track of progress, and you also want to have visual proof of that progress. And this is something I tell a lot of people, even with the gym, like, all right, well, you want to build muscle, you want to get stronger, track your lifts, try to improve, and have that visual proof. Like, if you're improving, then the program's working, and keep doing it. Same with the nutrition. If you're tracking calories or doing certain nutrition changes, weigh yourself, take progress pictures, do something so you have that visual proof. Because I think a lot of times, if you are trying a new lifestyle change, but you don't know if it's working, then you might go a couple of weeks and be like, hey, I don't even know if this is doing anything. And it's easy to fall off. So start small and really just have an easy way to have feedback and see those positive changes.
Yeah, man. Such good advice. I think too, I can't undersell or I can't overstate enough. Like, progress photos, I think, are so underrated, bro. Like, you don't have to post them all over the internet. You can have them just for yourself and for your coach. But dude, like, especially you, in that and I'm going to hop on a soapbox for like 2 seconds and then I'll pop off and let you go. But like, when you're working with somebody in body recomp, like, is the scale always going to move aggressively? Like, maybe not right away, because you're probably burning some sort of fat mass and then putting on some sort of muscle mass. And whether the rates of those are the same or different, I don't know, because that's going to vary from person to person, obviously. But if you're somebody who's doing those things and then you're just standing on the scale and you're looking down and you're like, dude, I've only lost a pound in 2 months. Like, what the heck? But then you go and you look at how your clothes fit, or you look at a photo of yourself before and you're like, wow, like, this is what I'm looking at now. This is how my body's changed. Look at my waistline, look at my stomach, my chest, whatever you kind of want to pick on. And then have somebody else give you an opinion too. Like, other people will start to notice if you're consistent, and your coach definitely is going to be able to pick those things out for you too along the way. So
Definitely, man. I think even for myself, like, my weight has been relatively similar for years, but in that time, I've built muscle and lost fat, and I look completely different. So you can't always just go on the weight. Having those progress pictures and comparing them over time is really one of the best ways to really have that feedback, to know that what you're doing is working. So totally
and it's
agree with
just a
that.
fucking mental win, dude. Gosh, it's just like, yes, we're doing this thing, Yeah, I dig it. Cool,
Yeah,
man.
dude,
And
having
not to
those wins is
mention,
great.
yeah, not to mention, guys, Matt shredded. So you let him know. He'll bring you through it. Um,
Appreciate it, man.
Cool, Matt. What I want to do is I'm going to let you go, but I'm going to let everybody else know. I'm going to have all of Matt's stuff in the show notes for this episode here on the podcast. Matt, I want to thank you again, bro, for coming on. We really need to be better about doing this stuff more often. I want to make sure I keep having guests on here, and I'd love to have you on again to chat about your role as a business owner with operators and assistant coaches and VAs, helping you out and helping you scale and helping you be the best you can be.
Definitely, man. Dude, it was great talking with you. Got to keep in touch more, and hopefully for the viewers, hopefully you got some value out of this, and appreciate you for having me, man.
Yeah, cool, brother. All right, man. We will chat soon. For everybody else, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. I'm going to be traveling down to Dallas. I'm taking a airline transport certification course here, so I'm going to be down that way for a bit, away from the mic for about a week, and we should be picking back up the week after. So we'll see you guys then. Peace.